If you think that your 3D reality is negative and it's showing you the truth, what it's actually doing is showing you your old assumptions. The moment you stop reacting to that, and that is an illusion in your 3D reality, the moment that starts to shift around and your 3D reality will literally correct itself. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about your 3D reality, understanding what is actually being reflected, delving deeper into partly the quantum physics behind it, some of the more scientific and psychological aspects, really delving deep to help you guys understand even better how to handle your 3D and not panic or get triggered by it, which is a really important element and something people do get tripped up on a lot. And that's just normal, that's human, but there is a way to minimize that. So today is going to delve into that. So stay tuned. I have lots of different sections where I want to give you guys very specific advice. So you want to watch through the whole video for that. On screen as well, for anyone interested in bonus material, exclusive content, you can join my membership, which is the most cheapest, affordable, and very competitively priced membership and way of getting extra support. You actually get to submit questions to me for a video that I create just for members. So you can ask any kind of coaching related questions you have, and for manifestation advice. I think my members really love that and get a lot of benefit out of that. There's a bunch of other things as well. So take a look in the description box on screen. All my links and buttons are there. Also, if anyone's watching this and you do happen to see the hype button, it's a new feature. And if you enjoy my video and you find it useful, it would be great to share it with other people. You literally just click hype and it's going to then promote it to other people as part of the YouTube platform. So yeah, everything is on screen or right below. And now let's jump into the content. So the 3D is not going to show your current assumptions. Again, I always specify, because this isn't like one rule for absolutely everything. You know, life itself and psychology and the way our minds work, it's not like one rule for everyone. There are slight differences. So for example, if you want to manifest a cup of coffee or something very easy or simple that maybe to you would even seem normal, and you would just kind of laugh if I said, oh, you should try manifesting this. You'd think, well, that's going to happen anyway. So for example, a cup of coffee, yes, your 3D reality can correct itself, can speed up, can match and align with your current assumption. If your assumption is after repeating 10 times that you get a free cup of coffee and you start to believe, yeah, this is going to manifest, and then you manifest it. So there are some distinctions I just want to clarify. Same thing goes for small movement. You can get very, very quick movement towards your manifestation end result. Again, the level of resistance does kind of change how that works. However, your 3D reality is not going to generally show your current assumptions. It is showing the old past, the kind of, old story, the old way of thinking that you have at the very least just started to move away from. So you have to remember that what's being reflected to you right now, and this goes outside of manifestation, dating or something, if there's an SP or you're going on dates with someone, again, at the beginning when you first start to know them, or it's like literally time-wise the beginning of your dating experience, you won't really know how they feel, you won't really know where it's going, but that develops and kind of evolves over time. So it's the same way with your 3D. Take everything with a pinch of salt. Just acknowledge what's happening, acknowledge, okay, if it's negative, I'm just going to keep persisting, I need to keep going. Clearly, it needs more time to shift around. And if it's been a really long period of time, then that indicates you have done something not great that you do need to improve on in your manifestation routine. But if it's just the first stage of progress and your 3D hasn't shifted yet, acknowledge, okay, it's the old story, it's the negative old assumptions, it still needs a bit more time to reflect in the 3D. Something else that is very much tied to the way your brain and your mind, your thoughts work, it's very much latches onto familiar patterns, repetitive habits, just what you've learned and what your nervous system, neural pathways have been automated to react to. So your brain will hold on to what a familiar pattern is. Even if it's negative, even if it's kind of outdated from the old story, it's going to hold on to that and reflect that and continue that until those patterns are broken, until you've applied the repetition and consistency, usually a couple of weeks, for your mind to learn and understand this is the new reaction, this is the new automated response, this is the new reality, and start to accept that. So your mind itself cannot just suddenly shift in a moment. What it might also seem before that old story is filtered out, before you have completely let go of it, in the sense that you're not spiraling, you're not constantly thinking about it or reacting to the old version, any kind of neutral situation, a neutral circumstance, or lack of visible movement, your mind is going to assume and think, especially consciously, that, this is the old, well, it's not probably going to recognize the old story, but that's what it is, that it's going to assume this is negative. This is my 3D reality. Why is my 3D still showing this? You're going to kind of jump to those kind of questions. And that's normal at the beginning. But as soon as you recognize it, you do want to work on that so you can let go of that and not keep repeating that same habit. But also just understand that's the way the mind works. It holds on to those familiar patterns, and it's just going to assume, because of the old story, that this is a reflection of that still being true. Those past circumstances are still current because it's showing in my 3D, or because I'm seeing something that's not necessarily positive. So make sure you're not holding on to that assumption, because that in itself can slow down the movement. Before that shift comes in, it's very normal, and it's important again to acknowledge and understand that your subconscious mind, it's not resisting you because it doesn't have that power. It doesn't work on logic. It works on repetition and kind of the, I guess, intensity as well. If you have a very memorable moment or a really strong emotional shift, your subconscious can respond to that. It takes in visuals, the repetition is what really sinks in because it needs that to learn something new. But your subconscious mind isn't going to resist you, isn't resisting the change. It might seem slow at first or not very visible, but before that fully comes in, before the way your mindset works and your assumptions work start to really shift around, it's going to keep replaying and holding on to what it's known up until then, because it has to act on something. So whatever assumptions and beliefs have been built up over time, that's what it's going to respond to until it suddenly has that breakthrough. And again, the repetition and consistency is what I always tell you guys, my clients, because that is what's going to ensure that your subconscious mind pushes through that boundary. So even though it might be really annoying and negative, your mind, your brain, it wants to hold on to what's familiar, wants to hold on to those patterns, as I just specified. So it's going to want to keep a hold of that. It doesn't understand logic. It's not here to talk to you. It's not its own entity. It's just part of your brain where everything is stored, essentially. It's like luggage. You just throw everything in there, even if it's like 5 of the same t-shirts. That's actually a pretty good analogy. You are just throwing everything in there, and it's not going to question. It's not going to say, wait a minute, why do I have 5 white t-shirts? Why can't I have some more nice designer items or whatever? It's not going to question that. It's just going to say, okay, 5 t-shirts, great. So that's why repetition is really important, because for those familiar patterns and habits to be kind of broken and replaced by your brain, it needs the repetition of the new story. You need to be able to hold on to it for at least the majority of your thoughts about your manifestation. Obviously not 100%, it's not really realistic, but mostly you do need to be able to hold on to that and kind of keep replaying that in your mind, meaning repetition, looping your affirmations, because your subconscious is going to listen to what your conscious mind is saying. And it's just a predictable narrative that your brain can hold on to. So the old story is kind of held in place or being still mirror reflected out into your 3D for now. But again, this is how you replace it. Same for your brain as it is with your nervous system. So I talk a lot about that, your neural pathways, which what I believe is the signals within your body sent to your brain. That's my understanding of neural pathways. But your nervous system overall, it's going to respond to whatever the emotional automated triggers are, whatever's consistent and whatever you've learned and have been responsive to. And it's keeping you safe. It likes safety, it likes answers, it likes routine. It doesn't like the unknown. Your mind and your body, doesn't respond well to the unknown, but it's going to hold on to that because those are the thought patterns that have been built up until now. But like I said, you're working on it, you're doing your affirmations, you're doing your manifesting routine. So that is going to become undone. It's going to unravel on its own, day by day, if you're staying as consistent as you can. And also when you experience a moment maybe of the old assumptions coming to the surface, that can be a purge. I used to kind of be a bit iffy with talking about the purge. I felt like it was more of a limiting assumption, but it actually does make a lot of sense as well with the subconscious, all of that negativity filtering out to the surface, kind of being trauma dumped out into your conscious mind, coming to the surface, but it's filtering out. And it's not a sign of your manifestation going wrong or you doing something wrong. It is still something to push past, because if it's not what you want, then you just keep going. Even if it's negative, even if it makes you feel a bit uneasy, like what other choice do you have? You either sit there and let it just sit in your mind, or you actually do something to shift it around and say, no, I'm going to think more positively. This doesn't reflect what I want. So in terms of everything being a mirror reflection, it's important to just kind of treat this and view the 3D reality when it's negative, when it's kind of giving that illusion of the old story still being completely true and factual, as not just a mirror reflection saying, oh, this is exactly how things are. It's a delayed reflection. So there's a time lag in the 3D. So just say, okay, it's mirror reflection, but it's delayed. So it's showing the past. This is like from days ago, weeks ago, even months ago. Just assume that and do not hold on to it as this subjective reality, because as you know with your assumptions, you're just going to hold it even more in place if you put all your attention and belief in what you're seeing. So a great mental diet affirmation you can use. Obviously your affirmations and mental diet overall are just perfect in general, but one example could be, that's the old story. When you see something you don't like, social media, a conversation, a circumstance, say, nope, that's the old story. I now have the exact reality I want. Or, nope, my new reality is already here in my 3D. I'm physically experiencing it. That was just the old story and it's filtered out. Try to get out of this idea of being really, and this reactive state of being triggered and spiraling because of your 3D reality. You don't need to fight what's going on. You don't need to analyze it. And you certainly don't need to panic or spiral. It's a waste of your time and emotions. You could be just enjoying your life, enjoying your day, because in hindsight, you'll look back and say, why did I worry so much about that? There's no benefit to panicking about it. If the solution can't be found, or in this case with manifesting, you know what the solutions are already, then just let it go. Don't fight that old story. Just try and redirect and focus your attention on the new story. So you don't need to have a perfect mindset or emotional reactions, emotional state, and you don't need to worry about how do I fix my nervous system and neural pathway reactions. It comes about naturally, right? Through positive lifestyle repetition, positive mindset. And when that becomes consistent, when you maintain a balance in that, it doesn't need to be perfect, but that is when your 3D reality does catch up and does start to reflect it. I also like to put a little bit of my own faith into it. So for anyone else who shares this, it's just a really lovely idea to believe that God is supporting the version of us and sees and wants the version of us that are protected and aligned perfectly, and whatever is meant for our highest good, for us to be happy and fulfilled, right? That's the ultimate goal with everything we manifest. We're doing it because we want that happiness and joy and fulfillment, and I believe that God is supporting that. And I love turning into my faith as well, like not just manifestation, knowing that there is that literal higher power watching over me. So yeah, I love that approach as well. You'll definitely feel more balanced and less of an urgency or panic to try and shape and shift your 3D reality, and kind of feeling this sense of a need for validation or desperation and just urgency, right? Like you need to speed things up. You're just being very impatient. You're going to relax. You're not going to question things as much. You're going to feel like it is on its way. It is conforming. This doesn't trigger or bother me as much. I'm not going to sit and analyze and worry maybe like I would have in the past. You just kind of accept and let the 3D reality go if it doesn't show what you want. You get to a point of just knowing and understanding. It's not objective. I don't fully accept this. I know this isn't the be all end all of my manifestation. So you kind of, you no longer feel this need to fix or speed up or try and correct every little negative element in your 3D reality. Your mind and your body will also literally learn to just not even panic or spiral because of those scenarios. You won't have that same automated reaction. So your mind and your body are literally conforming to the new version as if you're already there. And like I said, it all just becomes more neutral. You'll start to have automatic thoughts that align more with the new version. It feels safer, more realistic. You might get visuals and little daydreams that come up to reflect that. Also literal dreams, that is a reflection. And yeah, your 3D doesn't seem so like threatening and manifestation ending. You just kind of accept it. It's more like a neutral point. So remember that it's not meant to be there as, this really negative, dark reality that reflects failure. It's just a delayed mirror reflection, as I said. So just see it as a bit of a time lag. If you're not seeing the positive movement and outcomes reflected yet, that means they just haven't come in yet. You're still waiting for them to arrive at that station, but your 3D is not your enemy. It's a good way to reflect and see, okay, maybe I can improve on certain areas, or maybe I just need to calm down and not analyze it so much. So it's there to help you and, just reflect and show you where you're at. Whether you've achieved something or you're still on the way to achieving it, but it's nothing to panic about or overanalyze. So when you start putting your focus more into that new story, the new version, you really anchor into that new story, the outcome with your SP or whatever you're manifesting, and you kind of let go of the old story mentally. You don't immediately go to that. You don't even have a desire to go to that. That's what's going to come about naturally. But when you really put your focus and your priority with your mindset into the new version, your reality is going to start shifting faster than ever. So I think I'm going to leave this video here. I hope that was all very useful and beneficial for you guys. If you enjoyed, do thumbs up, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and I'll see you next time. Bye.